Knife tier list. Here we go. We're just going to jump right into it. Starting with the bayonet. Bayonet's not a bad knife. It's really not a bad knife. It's a really good mid-tier knife. I think that the high-tier patterns look good on it. The low-tier patterns look like shit on it. It's a pretty mid knife. The animations are pretty alright. I do like how you can like cancel the animation whenever you pull it out. I think that that's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna put it in B tier. Butterfly knife, I mean, it's an immediate S tier. You know, like this is the ADHD knife, the stim knife, you know, like if you play Counter-Strike, you probably at some point wanted a butterfly knife. I get a lot of people are like, think it's kind of overrated now, which understandable, but I mean, it's the butterfly knife. It's got the best animations, best everything. It's S tier immediately. No questions asked. The survival knife is not very good. I really dislike the quote rare animation with it, where like the fingers are on the side. I like when it's just the default animation a lot better than the rare animation. There's no unique pullout animation. It's just like one of the knives of all time. I think I'm gonna put it in D tier. The paracord is basically, to me, just a better survival knife. The paracord, it's still not a good knife, you know? It's definitely still like bottom tier knife, but it is significantly better than the survival knife, I think. Just the animations are better, it looks better, the blade looks better and everything. I'm gonna put it in C tier. The classic knife is an interesting one. I want to like the classic knife a lot. I really like the pullout animation for it, but the inspect animations and the like, I don't know, there's just something about it that I just cannot get past. I do like the knife. I think it would benefit a lot from having like the chroma finishes or even the gamma finishes, but as it sits right now, I think it's above the paracord on C tier. The Falchion knife would have been a B tier in Go before they made the hand standing animation so common. But now that that animation is so common and you get it all the time, I think it just ruins it. Like, it took the novelty away from it. The one thing the Falchion had going for it, it took it away. C tier for sure. The flip knife is another one that I like want to like, and I don't dislike it. It's definitely better than the Falchion, but it's still, it gets so boring. You know, every time I've had a flip knife, I have it for like a week, maybe two, maybe three, and then I'm immediately like going next. Like I'm looking for the next knife to get, you know? So I think I'm gonna put it in B tier, but it's gonna be low B tier. The gut knife is criminally mid. The gut knife, literally, the only thing it has going for it is the nostalgia factor. Like, this knife has really nothing to offer. It doesn't have unique animations. It doesn't have unique inspect. Like, it's just a knife. I'm gonna put it below the paracord in C tier. Navaja's D tier. I do not care. The Navaja sucks. It's so bad. Like, it's so small. The pullout animation is literally just a Falchion animation. Like, nothing looks good. The handle's always brown. Like, the Navaja just sucks. Don't ever. Literally, I would rather have the default knife than a Navaja knife. Karambit's another immediate S tier. I mean, it's the Karambit. It's the GOAT. You know what I mean? It's arguably the best knife in the game. Definitely the most iconic knife in the game. Like the Karambit Doppler back in the day when everybody was opening cases. Like, the Karambit Doppler was, like, the knife to have, you know? It's just a Karambit. Even though it does get a little bit boring after you use it for so long, it's still a Karambit. Like, you can't not put it in S tier. Now, the M9, I'm actually going to put at the top of S tier, above the Butterfly and the Karambit. The M9, it's so good. It's such a good knife. It has a nice blade. The patterns look amazing on it. The pullout animation is great. It doesn't really have that unique of an inspect animation, but the pullout animation is just so good it makes up for it. Literally, like, using an M9 and like clicking QQ and over again makes you want to like look like a schizophrenic movement player, you know? It's fantastic skin. It's my favorite knife in the game. The Nomad, I think I'm going to put in B tier as well. The Nomad is an interesting one. It's another one that I think is going to benefit a lot from having chroma patterns and gamma finishes. But as it sits right now, it's a pretty good knife. The pullout animation is pretty cool. The inspect animation is really clean. Obviously, Simple made this skin really popular because of the case harden that he used in the major. But the Nomad's a pretty good knife. It's a really solid knife. Shadow Daggers, I mean, they're the second worst knife in the game. I personally think that Shadow Daggers are a little bit better than the Navaja, just because there's like the meme to it, you know? Like, the Navaja is just the worst knife to be the worst knife. The butt plugs are like the worst knife, like the most popular worst knife, if that makes sense. I don't know. The butt plugs are not that bad. they're okay. Like, if you don't have a knife and you get shadow daggers, it's not the end of the world. Unlike the Navaja, like, I would rather not have a knife than a Navaja. I would rather have shadow daggers than no knife. Skeleton knife is going to be my first A tier. Honestly, I want to put this knife in S tier, but I just don't think it has that it factor that the S tier knives have. Like, for me, whenever I make tier lists, an S tier is undeniable. There doesn't need to be an argument for it. Like, it's immediate S tier. And I don't think the skeleton is quite there. Still a great knife, though. I'm going to put the stiletto in B tier under the bayonet, above the nomad, because I think that the bayonet is a little bit better than the stiletto, but the stiletto does have, like, more unique animations, which I think is cool. But the stiletto's, it's a good knife. It's a really good knife. It is a bit skinny, but there's nothing wrong with that. We like them skinny, you know what I mean? I have tried to like the Bowie knife so many times, and it just never works out for me. I almost would rather have a Falchion knife. I'm not kidding. The Bowie knife just, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. I think the Bowie knife is tied with the Falchion knife. I am going to put it a bit above it, though, just because it has, you can see, like, patterns better on it and stuff, and it does have the left hand now, which is cool. But I don't know, the Bowie knife, it's just never really interested me. The Huntsman knife, I'm going to go ahead and put in A tier. The Huntsman knife is like the go-to knife when you want a knife, I think. You know, you want something affordable that's not going to break the bank, but you want it to look good. Like, the Huntsman knife is your go-to. The Huntsman knife, it's really good. It has the same animations as the gut knife, but for some reason, the Huntsman knife just does it way better. I always, whenever I'm first making a loadout and I'm kind of stretched on my budget, I always go for a Huntsman knife. Great knife. The Ursus knife, I'm going to go ahead and put right below the Nomad in B tier. I used to really dislike this knife, but I was using one in a retake server one time, and I actually found myself really enjoying it, so I decided to get one for a little bit. Had a Ursus Marble Fade. I actually really liked it. It does get boring after, you know, a period of time, but it's not bad. It's a good knife. It's a really good knife. Talon knife, I'm going to go ahead and put an A tier. The reason why is because a lot of people look at this knife as not a Karambit, but if you are able to take the Talon knife and separate it from the Karambit, it's a good knife. It has pretty decent animations. It's obviously not as good as the Karambit, but the animations are really good on it. The handle always being that, like, beige color is kind of rough, but other than that, this is a great knife. The patterns look great on it, got great animations. Like, there's really nothing to complain about the Talon, other than it's not a Karambit. The Kukri knife would get B tier if it wasn't for the stupid, like, audio glitch that happens whenever you pull it out. I'll play it on screen right now. I don't know. I never heard it up until I owned a kukri knife for a little bit, and it was literally all I could hear in game. It drove me absolutely crazy. So literally just because of that, like, audio bug, I'm putting it in C tier below the Bowie knife. And that is all the knives ranked in Counter-Strike in order. Let me know what you guys think of my list. Let me know how bad my takes are, of course, in the comments below. But other than that, yeah, thank you so much for watching.